therapy, and I was talking to my therapist. I was just like, this faith thing, this faith walk, it is not for the weak, especially when you've lived your life so much in a particular space, which we now know is more considered like the survival mode. And when you're trying to transition into this thriving mode and you're trusting, especially growing up, believing you had so much control, being the one that always had everything so well put together. And when you step away from that and now you're just like, okay, so I'm gonna put my faith solely in God. I'm gonna go out here, I'm gonna take the risk, I'm gonna do what I feel like I'm being called to do in my heart, and I'm gonna trust that it's gonna work out. So what about those in-between stages? And me and her, we got to talking and we were saying like, you know what, we wish that the Bible talked about that more. We hear the stories about it went from this and then it was beautiful, but it's like, what about the in-between? And I just was saying to her, I was like, yeah, like, you know what, I wish I could talk to Noah. Like, even though we know like people were ridiculing him about building the ark, and because it's like, what are you doing that for? Nothing is gonna happen. But I just wish I could talk to him because he was a human. So it's like, what were you thinking in that space of like, I'm a little crazy, this seems crazy, but he just kept going. And a lot of the times we just hear about the victory side of it and we don't get the story about the in-between. And I feel like the in-between is the most important part because it's the hardest part. When it doesn't look the way you want it to look, or you're not certain, you're just out here. And so I just think it's important that we all be more vulnerable and share that in between and let other people know, like, it's scary. Like, faith walk is not all sunshine and rainbows. Like, it gets scary because you're relinquishing a control you felt like you've had your whole life, and you're actually trusting that things are going to happen the way that you see them happening in your heart. So, but yeah, I just kind of thought I'd just get on here and talk about that. Like, is anybody else experiencing the in-between? I'd love for you to stitch, duet, comment. Like, let's build a community where we talk about it and everybody knows, like, we all just trying to figure it out and we in this together. Hey, so I don't know if you're like me, but for myself, the last few weeks have been pretty tough. There are a lot of things that I'm calling in, a lot of things that I'm manifesting, and right now things are just kind of in this standstill sort of place, and that can be a hard place to be. So after bawling my eyes out last night, I thought about this film that I saw, and I was like, this character experienced a lot of the same things I feel like I'm experiencing now. And the film in question was Dolemite Is My Name, which was a film that came out in 2019 on Netflix. It's a film that follows the late Rudy Ray Moore, his life. He's a famous comedian, and it's just talking about his life and his struggles as he was up and coming in his career. So when I first kind of dived into this movie, I didn't realize where I had already heard the Dolemite name from. And once I saw one particular part of the film, I realized where I had heard it. So if you're familiar with the 1990 version, the 1990 house party, when Kid is sneaking out of the house and his dad is on the couch sleeping, his dad is actually watching Dolemite. So just to give a little bit of fun fact there. So Rudy actually was born in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and he moved to LA to pursue his dream of becoming an entertainer. So throughout his time in LA, he did all sorts of things. He was into music. He was even into like attempting to be a fortune teller. So he got his big break once he created the Dolemite character, which was known for his raunchy, explicit content. Content sort of like that of Red Fox and Richard Pryor. So Rudy finally gets his big break. He's a comedian, he's on tour, he's doing all these different shows, but he still wants more. So he basically gets an advance and he sets out and he makes this movie. He gets a group of friends, and friends know other people They film it, they do all the production, all the work themselves, and he's ready now. He's like, okay, I got this movie. I know people are going to love it. People are going to buy it. It's going to do great. But in actuality, it really flops. Nobody wants to buy it. Nobody really gets it. And he basically essentially feels like he's taken a big L, and he put all his resources into one basket, and now nothing is going to come of it. But even through all that adversity, you see Rudy, even though he has to go to what he considers is going backwards, because he has to go back on the road, back into doing the actual comedy show, he never stops. He keeps persisting with his project, and eventually it catches the eye of one of the big box film production places that turned him down. They were like, oh, we didn't know. So then now they were seeking after him. So my word of encouragement is to, even if things seem dark and gloomy and you keep getting no after no after no, keep betting on yourself, because your big break is coming.